Welcome to another episode. If the 360 haven't popped on your feed, I don't know where you've been. It has 36 million views right now. We just come back from Sweden, from World RX of Sweden, and there was one particular move that was absolutely insane. In the final, Kevin managed to pull off a 360. You lost the car, aquaplaning, right?
Yeah.
360.
You spin my head right round.
Yeah, exactly like that. Didn't lose any time. Bang, straight on it. How did you pull that off, Kevin?
Well, I need to talk you through it, like just from the moment to moment, because I was following you. I think it was lap 4, and coming down the hill, it was so wet in that final, which we'll get into in a bit. But I was coming down on the top aquaplaning, but I held it
Wait.
quite straight.
We need to get the backstory straight here, like, because the backstory is everything to this clip, right? The backstory being that we're on the grid in the final, and the skies have just opened up. Like, it's coming down rain like never before. I think everyone in the interview said that it was the craziest race we've ever driven. There was absolutely zero grip out there, but still it's a final to be won. And, in rallycross, we put everything on the line. So like halfway through the race, Kevin's chasing me for third place, coming down that hill, and it's a massive like river from all this rain coming down. And this, like that's the backstory. This is where it picks up.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, coming on the top, aquaplaning a little bit on the gravel section, but held it quite okay. And then literally coming onto the tarmac, I think I must have like lifted shot or something, but the car just snapped completely, and I had a full-on no chance to even save it early on moment. So it snapped, and I directly locked all the wheels because I was like, shoot, I'm gonna spin, and I'm gonna, like, you know how it is when you aquaplane. It can just go, it increases the speed, and you can just start spinning like crazy. But I was managed just to catch it a little bit but I was spinning for sure. So I thought, shoot, I'm gonna reverse straight into you because you're slowing down. I'm aquaplaning with locked wheels down the hill, and I managed to somehow it stopped the rotation, and it was going just straight backwards. And I thought, well, the corner is coming up, so I need to just try something because I don't want to end up in the gravel. So literally, when I was pointing the opposite direction, I floored it, the throttle to the floor, and I started to spin, and I turned to the left to try and pull the car back into the corner, and it was literally perfect. I saw the curb coming, I saw you like half a meter away, and I just went straight back on the line, and I thought to myself, how on earth have I ended up not losing any time? I hope the TV broadcast caught that, and then straight into aquaplaning again and didn't see anything. You can see on I think the other angle that our comms team posted when I lose it, and literally when I've caught it, my car disappears in a mud water splash, and it's just gone. It's disappeared. So I mean, that just it was an unbelievable moment. I was happy I didn't take you out. I'm happy I saved it, and also I was stoked that I didn't lose any time because it meant I could keep trying to get a podium.
Yeah, and like it was insane. And me in front, I didn't notice anything because like I was coming down that hill, knowing that there was that like river you had to cross. Turn right, there was a little bit of grip. I think that's where you have done your 360. You caught that bit of grip, and then there's another massive swimming pool on the other side of the corner. But on the braking zone where you thought that you will hit me, I'm like also aquaplaning, but at least going in the right direction. So like both of us have that like increasing the speed feeling where you brake, you throttle, you steer, like whatever you do, the car would just continue to go in a straight line.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, all the ice driving we've ever done finally paid off to an extent, because that's what you train on when you're up there. You train on having massive amounts of angle, because no matter what direction your car is on the ice, the studs is what gives you the grip. So when you're backwards and all angles, all you have to do is remember the physics and the skill of like, okay, I'm in this situation, how can I solve it? And one of our coaches that we've had up there, he's always said, you need to look where you need to go. And literally that's what I did. I was facing the wrong direction, but I looked to where I needed to go. and I just decided I'm gonna get to the right place. So I mean, I just loved it. I mean, I need to give a big shout out to Coley and Bakkerud. They did an incredible job commentating on that shot, being like disappointed. Oh, he spun like loser, and then Bakkerud literally losing his mind over how epic that save was. So no, I really appreciate those guys hyping that moment and giving me some credit for it, because it was an exciting time.
Yeah, like the move is insane, but thanks to them being in the commentary booth at the moment and like shouting like, "No way, you legend, Kevin Hansen, saving it," save of the decade, all of that. Like it makes you understand when you're watching the video, like how crazy it was. So you're seeing this 360, and the thing is, it's not like a practice session. It's not rehearsed. It's not like nothing. You just did it on intuition. Also, if you did any wrong move in the moment, if you steered in the wrong direction, if you didn't throttle in the time you did, or lock the wheels in the time you did, you would have gone off massively. But like all the
Yeah,
right inputs in the right time, a bit of luck for sure, but also
for sure.
also
You
skill
need
to.
to. Yeah, you need to have a bit of luck, but I thought about it too, and like you can say, sure, it was pure luck, but if I didn't do what I did by just pure instinct, then it wouldn't have happened, and the save wouldn't have been possible. So, like, that's what I love about rallycross, because it's just pure instinct. You never know what's gonna happen into turn one. You never know how we're gonna react in overtakings, what situation you're gonna end up in. It's so much on instinct and just in the moment. What can I do? Have I been here before? And just drive on like, yes, I can. For example, when I tried to overtake Joa Riskonen in the final, open up the corner, got a great run. I was like, I can do an undercut in the exit, and I was there. Like, you can never prepare for things. You just have to drive with your instinct constantly. And in those conditions, which we'll probably deep dive into, is like you can't really even explain how mad it is to race in them. We race in whatever the condition. We are an extreme sport. We don't do like Formula One, where the full wets are, they can manage a certain amount, but when they are actually put on the car, they normally red flag because there's so much water and spray. Like, we don't see anything. There's mud everywhere. We aquaplane. There's carnage, but you have to manage the carnage because we are an extreme sport, and one of those sports in the world where everything will get chucked at us in this 1 kilometer track, and you just have to go out there and manage it.
Let's talk you through what happened during the weekend, and like especially that final. I think legendary at this point. People will be talking about Höljes 2025 for a very long time, talking carnage and chaos. But to begin the story, we come up there to Höljes. It's a race in Sweden. It's a home race for us. It's exciting. We have loads of friends. We coming up, loads of people that we know. It's always great to be at home. And we see on the weather forecast it's going to be raining. But we had a very hard time like finding any grip whatsoever out there. Like throughout qualifying, I think both you and me like really struggled for pace. We had a couple of glimpses of like decent pace where we could follow, but most of the time, I don't know. Like the car felt great. I felt like I was pushing. I felt like I was maximizing everything that I had, and I have no comments about the car. Having to be balanced in a different way. But there simply just wasn't any more grip to be had, and we saw the Polo especially, but also the Hyundai, both combustion and electric, like having an easier time to find that grip wherever there was some. And we it felt like we tried everything. We even went completely outside the box. In wet condition, you want to put the softest setup that you can, like especially the lower the grip, the softer you go. But we were on the softest springs that we had, and we wanted to go softer. What do we do? But bit of Hansen magic. Graham Rodemark, engineer, he is not afraid of a crazy idea. So he said, like, our rear springs are softer than the front springs, but problem is they are too short. They are built specifically for the weights of each corner, etc. So, but what if maybe it can work? So we put on those springs that are too short, And he warned us so badly, like if they get coil bound, which means that, you know, the spring is compressed all the way as far down as it can. Like if
Before
that
the
happened,
damper.
yeah, before the damper, exactly. So it's like it squeezes in on itself, the spring. If that happens, and on the landing of a jump, we will just shoot the damper out the top mounting. They will come flying out. You know, it will be
Yeah.
big chassis damage. It will be very bad. So we went out. Was that for
It was
FP2
for
or warm?
FP2 or the first heat, and literally like to chuck on something like that, you need to be a bit crazy, but also you want desperately to make improvements, and that's just the spirit of our team. We never stop at the comfortable place. We always push, and as soon as Graham said that idea, Kenneth was like 100%, let's do it, let's try it. There is always if there's one little shred of hope and possibilities, we take it if we're not there being quick enough. And I think the reason why we weren't just quick enough all weekend is, first of all, the Höljes track is very slippery in general, even on dry, because it's got so many laps, so many years of rubbered in, polished tarmac, so it's slippery in itself. And the gravel itself also is like proper gravel, so when it gets watered, it's quite slippery. And our car is not built for that type of racing. We are developed, this car was developed obviously and the second part of the problem many years ago, so we haven't done that much development on it, and it was developed in France with high grip tracks, and it was made to have a lot of general grip, so the car didn't have to deliver that. So it was built not to be on slippery conditions, and when we end up in a place where it is super slippery, our chassis, meaning geometry, and what can it be, roll centers and all the physical stiffness in the
The
car is
philosophy, like
just nothing. Yeah, the philosophy of our car doesn't work in a slippery condition. But that's why also we're quick in probably overperforming when we go to grippy tracks, like in Portugal, the first race. I think maybe the other two Hyundais and the Volkswagens, they're more generally manageable on all tracks, whereas we are really good on high grip, but we're really bad on low grip.
yeah, and we really felt that like throughout this race, trying everything, but like, you know, there was a lap here and there where we were decent, but we even had this problem. It's like immediately from the get go. I think we were managing the starts pretty well. We were absolutely on the limit. You know, there was some moments when you literally like you had such a little step more power than me in the start that it's insane. But you were spinning and I had a perfect start. So like we really found like the exact point of how much throttle can we keep in the start. Starts felt great, picking up the throttle on the tarmac, but as soon as every time we got onto the gravel, it felt like we were like just dropping backwards, like a rock, you know, like just falling behind the field. And I think that's the same problem we had on track as we had in the start straight, that the car just doesn't generate that traction on the extremely slippery gravel section that we had up until turn one. So we always came out the back when we didn't really have pace. Well, so it was not
So
much hope.
a podium is incredible in the end of the day. Like we fought
Yeah,
our way through the heat, and I was really excited when we got to Q4 because it was dry, and I knew, as we just explained, slippery condition doesn't work. Grippy, the only shred of the only time we had when we raced electric and KMS did as well in 23, the last race in Höljes on the Saturday, I was equally quick to join after we found this new way of our car finally being balanced and turning in, not oversteering. It was balanced for the first time. Then we were equally quick. So I knew if we get to dry conditions, we have improved our car further, and it's going to be, we have a chance of winning this race just on outright pace. And we were quick in Q4, but it was still, dusty from all the mud being dragged up on the circuit. And then after I was like, come on, let's put the proper dry setup, for Höljes. We get a good prep. We're minded there. We're ready to go to win this event. And then the sky opened up again before the
yeah.
semifinal. And I was like, really? Come on. Like that, literally, like you can always have hope that stuff will happen. That we never let go of. But feeling that you're in your own control of being able to deliver a win, that disappeared at that moment. Then you're in the hands of luck in other situations to be able to be in the right place at the right time, some other people's mistake, for us to be able to benefit off that and take the win. That was then the reality going into the semifinals, and not in our own control anymore to win.
Yeah. If you listen to the previous episode, like we went through all these stages, how the track develops, and it was really like, I think it was very relevant information if you were a spectator watching the race out there, because we did go through the rainy session, we did go through the muddy part, we did go through then eventually in Q4 when it actually switches to dry but dusty. But once it started to rain again for the semifinals, they were relatively uneventful. You put in a good run. Veiby made a couple mistakes in your semi, meaning
well,
that
he said he had some problem, but we in my semi, I had a good strategy. We had a good start. I was able to get third, and we followed the first lap, and then literally we jokered the second lap because it was a risky move. It was just gonna be side by side in the merge, but I did a really good joker, slotted in front of Baby, and then I just tried to keep that speed, and I wasn't far off the Hyundai of Juha Rytkönen in that semi-final to get a second. Obviously, Johan was far in front with his super soft, loving rain conditions car, and it wasn't too bad. So it was quite a good semi-final in that way. And you had a pretty good semi as well.
Yeah, but as I said, pretty uneventful. Like I started second, came out second, and just kind of couldn't follow Niklas. He was driving away, but I could keep the gap to behind. But I think your semifinal was one of your like glimpses of like really good performance throughout the weekend, even though we didn't have it consistently. You put in a good run there. So then like we come back, we debrief. It's kind of same old, no real chance, but we are in the final, so that's good. We'll take all the chances that we get. And literally we jump in the car, we drive down to the start grid, and that's when like
The
the
sky
heavens
opened.
opened up, pouring down with rain, absolutely next level.
People were saying, standing on the side, they were getting drenched in literally 2 seconds. They were full wet. You can imagine the amount of rain coming down in that short amount of time, and you can even see it on the broadcast, how it almost starts to float around on the circuit, and the gravel just turns from gravel to shiny mud.
Yeah,
And
and the
that's
thing is
the
that
condition we stare down into turn one, into the barrel of turn one.
And the thing is, Höljes is like down in a bowl, so the paddock is higher, the spectator area is higher on the bank. Like the lowest point of the area is the track, so all the water wants to flow down into the lowest points, of course, and then ended up like making massive puddles or like swimming pools on the track everywhere, where there wasn't a river flowing into the water puddle. Like then there was a water puddle, so we were aquaplaning every corner. And then standing on the start line, I was like, whew, this is going to be something different. This is going to be something special. Like, let's just, lock in. I reduced a bit just based on my own instinct. I just reduced my start target a bit. Ended up getting a good start, like pulling equal with Juha Rytkönen. He had some coming together with Niklas. I had a nice
Niklas
outside.
did a bad start.
Yeah, he did. He probably didn't reduce, do you think?
Maybe not. No, I think he wanted to gamble and take the start from Johan, but he didn't have the traction.
No, so so I ended up like with Rytkönen and Gronholm having kind of a bit of a scrabble down the straight. I had kind of a nice run outside. I thought for a moment that I might be able to pass Niklas through the first corner, but eventually slotting in third and deciding, like, my Höljes experience telling me like first corner joker, like in being first through the joker on the first lap just tends to be good. So then I did everything that I could to get my car into there, but I got a tap right rear, and I think this is like the key moment of my final.
Yeah, and
Getting
also to just understand why did you get a tap? It was quite interesting. I just saw it on the broadcast after. So you went towards the Joker, and I was like, okay, Tim is going, and Joa is there on the left. I'm not gonna follow him. I'm gonna follow you into the Joker. But then Patrick overtakes Juha and pushes him straight into the Joker lap, so he has no option than to follow you. Where then you get the hit, and then I realize I'm lost in the bloody race all of a sudden.
Yeah. Your position is miserable, and mine was almost miserable because I ended up getting a tap being rotated the wrong way. So before I could flick the car back left, like there is then a gap on my left hand side coming into the Joker in Höljes, and there has been a couple of surprise moves, especially in the finals, coming into the Joker lap, people overtaking other people. So Yua tries to go for that gap, but he's kind of far back. I just pitch my car like 90 degrees left. I'm like, if I get overtaken here and I end up in that swimming pool out on the right outside of the racing line, I'm gonna lose 10
over.
seconds.
Yeah.
Like it's race over. So I just pitch my car left. I'm like, my nose is just gonna stay ahead of his nose at whatever cost. And then he manages to, like, he pushes me sideways and I climb the curb fully and then back down off the curb, realizing like, oh, I pulled it off. Like I didn't get overtaken. Like for me, that was like kind of, I'm happy with that defense. And from there, coming out of the Joker, that is not actually very far to the guys in front. And
yeah,
this lap now coming out of the Joker is when we start to realize actually how bad the conditions are.
It was unbelievable, and I was dead lost, obviously coming out of the Joker, and aquaplaning in literally, we can have 30 kilometers an hour out of the Joker lap into the gravel, aquaplaning straight away. Car just moves around, and you know aquaplaning because you don't feel any drive, and the car is literally like rotating around the centerpiece, and you're just spinning around, and you don't really have control. You're just going in the direction where you were going towards when you entered the aquaplaning. So I followed Timmy and Joa through the velodrome, and it was big aquaplaning through the velodrome. And then we just came up on it.
Aquaplaning feels like you're in a video game and you hit an effect that removes all the grip.
That's what it feels like. You hit the banana peel in Super Mario.
Yeah, exactly. So exactly you can't steer, you can't throttle, you can't brake. Like whatever you do, the car will just continue to go where it was.
Just massive. And this first lap, you know, everywhere you enter for the first time in conditions you haven't raced on before, you're experiencing. You're entering it for the first time, just learning. Okay, there's the puddle, there's the puddle. When I was managing to do that on the second lap, I was starting to take different lines and understanding. I can just roll my speed through the aquaplaning, for example, into turn 4. And I will just end up on the curb and it will be okay. And then through the velodrome, I will take a high line because it was all puddles down low and you had to go super slow. So I was in the back, obviously, trying to find new lines because I had nothing to lose. I found so much speed. So I was overtaking Juha, and then he squeezed me and I lost time again, and I literally caught you guys in like with 2 seconds in 4 corners. I was back on it. I passed Juha on the straight, just rolling more speed into turn 1, passing him on the outside through turn 1, and then I was I think you passed Patrick on the top of the hill.
Then you're on my bumper, and we both pass.
We both passed Patrick, and then I opened the lot. The bottom corner where the massive puddle is before the jump. I managed to get a really nice run, but I felt like it wasn't good enough to be like passing you. So then I wanted to slow down and just slowing behind. But then Patrick really dived straight in, which was a bit unnecessary, I thought, because he like hadn't jokered. Everyone, like he didn't have. It was caught so quickly. He should have just been a bit of realizing that's my race, don't have to do such a move, but he was entitled to do. It wasn't an unfair move, but it was just a bit unnecessary. So he squeezed up, almost spun me around a little bit, but I caught him and just passed him then on the straight because he was just wide. And then I was just following you for a couple of laps, trying to find a gap, but you kept very, very tight, and you started to find a few of those higher grip lines as well. And then obviously you were third in this moment. Kristoffersson and Granholm was a bit out in front. And on the last lap, I was like, come on, can I find a fair gap somewhere? Maybe we'll do a mistake somewhere. Maybe I'll try and just drive around the outside in the velodrome. But coming over the first jump, my car just switched off and everything just went black in the car. And I got a red light. And we didn't mention this before, but after Q1 on the first day, my car went red, which was an isolation problem in the battery. So my car was actually potentially um, transferring electricity in the chassis to be able to, if you put your foot on the ground and hold the car, you can be electrocuted and get, 500 kilowatts in your body. So that was the risk there for a while. So I had to change battery after Q1. Then another red light in the final, but that was for a different reason, where it seems to be a low voltage problem. So much water obviously on the track. Somewhere a little bit of water has got into a connector, inside, outside. We don't know exactly where, but car went red and wouldn't restart, and I finished last. But obviously you brought it home for a P3, which I think for a whole team with the performance we had is a great result.
Yeah, as we started to say, like we didn't have any good starts, we didn't have the pace, and then to come home with the podium, I was super happy. As I was saying, like for me, the race was kind of, it started off great with defending through the Joker lap, and I wasn't far off of the guys in front of Johan. You kind of know that you won't catch him in these conditions. He's driving extremely well, and he's got a very good car altogether. But like Niklas isn't too far, so I was chasing him. But finally, when I caught when I caught Patrick, he was really struggling, really having a hard time, especially on the gravel. So then we lost a lot of time, and then I saw both Niklas and Johan flying away up front. So that kind of meant that my chances of catching is more or less over. But I'm hearing on the radio that first of all I had Johan just on my bumper, and then you just on my bumper. So at that moment, like I see the grip is out there, out wide, but I have also one car gap to the back. So like,
Do you risk it to take the quicker line, or do you
exactly.
stay defensive? And this is where rallycross comes in again. You just need to keep the inside shut. It's not like in F1 where you can get driven around the outside,
Mm,
and just there's more volume of track in rallycross. There is most of the time just one line, and you maybe can do a little inside overtake or an undercut or stuff like that, but you just need to keep your car in the position where someone cannot drive on the inside of you, and it takes
yeah.
a lot to drive around the outside.
So like that was my mindset when you were behind, and you were looking left and right. I think with the with a bit of right timing, you could have probably gone by me, especially if you did an undercut before the jump, getting to that clear, like on the right side of that puddle. You could have maybe overtaken, but yeah, then your car switched off, and I kind of cruised home to a third place. I couldn't wait for the race to finish. It was insane.
Yeah, it
But
wasn't an
yeah,
enjoyable experience. Like from a driving perspective, it was hell. But obviously from a viewer's perspective, full of uncertainty, anything can happen. Brilliant racing. But for us, it wasn't the most enjoyable.
it was fantastic to have Coley back in the commentary, and Dan Rook was back in the commentary. There was some fantastic rallycross action out on track. I think, a Höljes weekend that we will remember forever.
Yeah,
We were referencing already now, like Kuvola 2013 was kind of the last time we
yeah.
had anything similar. Now it's
Iconic
Höljes
race.
2025. It,
For sure.
it, yeah,
It's great to see that everything's coming back. The viewership was great. The interactions has been great. Obviously, a viral clip like that just shows the potential of the sport, that we've not been able to show before. And it's so exciting to see the excitement. People's comments are positive. All the fans, even everyone listening here, the excitement, the drive, the consumption of rallycross is just bringing more and more people together, and it's growing like it haven't been on for the last 7 years or something. So it's extremely exciting, and everyone please keep liking posts, keep following all the rallycross people you can, give us a great comments here and there, engage with us. We need all of you guys' support to keep growing and keep going up and up and up, so we can bring rallycross to more countries, to more people, and with more drivers on the grids, you get even more exciting racing.
Exactly. We spoke to Höljes Bakkerud throughout the weekend just to end this episode. We went to see his new car, his new setup, and everything. And he said something very wise. He said that we are trying everything as drivers, as teams, just to keep Rallycross being a great show. But what we need right now is the help from you guys, the help from the fans to get the vibe back going, keep the positivity up, get the hype back in Rallycross. And I think it really is in the fans' hands now. Like, stop doing the negative comments. Just like enjoy
Focus on the
what we
positive.
have.
Enjoy
Focus on
enjoy
the
what we
positive.
have. Yeah, and
And
there is when people see and from the outside looking into our sport, if there's positivity, excitement, likes, there is a lot of people following all of the athletes, all of the teams. People will be like, we want to be in that championship, and you will have even more great things to follow. So really make sure you double down on rallycross. You guys have the future of this sport in your hands, and we will be doing everything we can to be here for you, delivering great action, great content, a platform for you guys to share your voice and for us to share our voice together. So really, really exciting times.
so that said, please like, please subscribe, and just leave a comment. That's all we ask. Thank you for listening. It's been a great ride a couple of last weeks. Thank you for tuning into the podcast. See you next week.